will soon be turning red. Crying's not.
Hello, I am Dana Shank, and I'm the mother of Alexa Shank. And there's quite a remarkable story to share. She was 6 years old and very, very healthy. She ate her green beans, she ate her vegetables, she danced, she played soccer, she played golf, she did gymnastics. So a very, very healthy child.
Bright, sunshine, easygoing, loving, just fun little girl.
She was always strong and positive, and she would want other people to know that you have to live every day to the fullest.
For our recital, right before she was diagnosed, she left recital early because she was not feeling well with a sore throat, and then that's when we started noticing things going downhill. They were leaving for vacation.
We decided to go on vacation to Gulf Shores, and during that vacation she was taking amoxicillin for an ear infection and strep throat, but it wasn't getting any better. So we called the pediatrician, and they gave her a higher dose, you know, of some antibiotics. Still wasn't getting any better, so they said, well, if you're concerned, take her into an immediate care center down there in Alabama. So we did that, and they immediately bumped her up to the top of the list to be seen because evidently the nurse noticed that her coloring was very pale.
She was just still not feeling well, and then we got the phone call from family members that she was being rushed back to Indianapolis because she was sick.
So instead of going back to the hotel to pack our things and make a trip to a hospital or a doctor, we were immediately whisked away by ambulance to a local hospital in Alabama. They wanted Riley to come down and pick her up so that she could be released to have her chemotherapy treatments here in Indiana. So Riley Hospital for Children didn't ask one word at 2 o'clock in the morning. Do they have insurance? Can we afford to take the flight down there to pick up this family and bring them home? They were immediately on an airplane coming down to get us and to basically rescue Alexa and begin our new journey. So one minute we were on the beach building sand castles, and the next minute you're dealt this just amazing blow, and you can hardly walk when something like that happens.
And it was just very quick, very traumatic. She went one day from being just Alexa to being sick Alexa. So it was just really hard to see her go through that.
Our journey begins, that was in June of 2002 with the cancer treatment. And it was a 2.5-year treatment protocol, very good rate of survival with the type of leukemia that Alexa had. There was an 85% cure rate. She did fantastic. She sailed through all the treatments. Of course, when you have cancer and you take chemotherapy, you lose hair, things of that nature, and she had just such an amazing spirit, and she was only 6.
I think with her being at such a young age and seeing how she was able to just stay so positive through the whole thing and not let it get her down. You very rarely saw her without a smile on her face.
So she decided to wear a pink wig when she lost her hair at that age. So she was quite a dynamo. I will rewind a little bit. She finished her cancer treatments at the age of 8.5, and she was finished with her treatments for approximately 6 months, but then she relapsed and the cancer returned.
And she actually was cured for over 100 days she was cancer-free, and then unfortunately the cancer came back. But she was so strong through it all.
So at this point in time, a bone marrow donor was needed, a stem cell bone marrow donor. And her brother, Connor Shank, turned out to be a match for a bone marrow stem cell transplant. So the doctors at Riley Hospital for Children extracted, what was it, 122 billion, 100 million bone marrow stem cells from Connor to be infused into Alexa to try to give her a chance for life, to survive. And so very proud of him to make that type of decision. And we certainly shared with Connor that we didn't know if this would be the cure. We didn't know if he would actually be able to save her, but it was a gift of life that he could give her for some time. And he was only 9.5 or 10 years old when he went through having his bone marrow extracted.
She wasn't well enough to leave the house, so I would go over to do dance classes with her. I would spend about an hour with her once a week, and we would go through ballet and jazz and tap, and we'd dance across her living room into the kitchen. And we wouldn't be able to do the full hour because she would be very tired, but she just smiled the whole entire time. You could tell she loved doing dance, and she was not going to let this bring her down for something that she loved. She did as much as she could during our time together. And those days that she did feel really well and was able to do things, she would do her dance, like singing in the rain. And she was able, after a couple of years, to come back and do another recital with us, so that was lots of fun as well. So she never seemed to let it get her under the weather, so to speak. She tried to stay on top of it and happy. For being such a little kid, that's a great feat.
There's a really good memory that I have, a memory, this was in 2006, I'm sorry, in 2008, Alexa was chosen to perform for a benefit for Party Light Gifts. It's a multi-level marketing company full of hundreds of thousands of consultants around the United States and throughout the world, actually. And their charity of choice is the American Cancer Society. And they heard of Alexa's battle and of her courageous struggle and the attitude that she took, and wearing a pink wig and still doing all the things that she did, and doing them so well and bringing cheer to others, that they asked her to dance, which was part of her passion, to perform a dance routine, actually to Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head by Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And she performed this solo routine in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, Georgia, in front of 15,000 people. And it was just an amazing emotional moment, because the funds from that dance in the Georgia Dome helped to raise over $1 million for the American Cancer Society.
I remember going to Alexa's prom when she was diagnosed, and we didn't have a lot of time with her left. So we put on a prom for her, and I remember dancing with her. That's how I knew Alexa. We did jazz and ballet together, and I remember one of her birthday parties that I went to, and we did pedicures and manicures, and we always had a good time when we were together.
We were chosen by the Children's Miracle Network to share Alexa's story on TV, on radio, on an international setting, and that was through Riley Hospital. So they sent us to Washington, D.C. It was the entire family, her brother Connor, Shank included. And at that time, we were able to meet President George W. Bush, who was in the White House. And Alexa got to share her story about how much she loved the doctors and all the caregivers and the nurses at Riley Hospital, and the importance of Children's Miracle Network hospitals and finding cures for cancer. So she did quite some amazing things, a lot of amazing things in her short time here. Unfortunately, we did lose Alexa probably a year after the transplant, at the age of 10 and a half. So, what do you do? How do you pick yourself up? How do you move on in the way that you know that this little girl would want you to, with all of her spunk and all of her spirit?
Dana was above and beyond. She was an angel herself on how she was able to take the information in the news about her sick child and then still be able to support her family and her daughter.
The Shank family is one of the strongest families that I know, and they will always be a huge inspiration to me, because even though they went through years of a battle with Alexa's leukemia, they stayed strong throughout the whole entire thing, and to this day, they are still strong. My advice to any family that is going through a cancer diagnosis, or ultimately the loss of a child, that's, in my opinion, one of the worst
losses as a parent that one could have. My advice is really there's no right way and there's no wrong way to grieve, but you have to find your own way. And you can't stay stuck and you can't stay down for too long because the world keeps turning. The world keeps going round and round, and there are other people that are involved, and you have to think about them and helping them and finding the best from the situation, because you learn so much about yourself. You really dig deep, and you learn a lot about yourself when you go through something like this, and you find out what you're made of. And you're better, and you're stronger, and you're a much more resilient person. And you find out that you're better for all that you've been through, as horrible and as atrocious as it may have been at the time. There are always so many wonderful people to support you, and you find the good and you find the positive, and you move on and you do the best you can with what you've been given.
Her story will continue because of her strength and her positive attitude. Like I said, I dance for Alexa, and I will always dance for her because she was my dancing partner.
It's just neat to know that she's okay, and she fought hard, and she's happy, and she's home.